How does his absence affect the odds for this game?
Yeah, so he's definitely not going to play in the Sugar Bowl, and it seems very unlikely he's going to play in this college football playoff. He had that elbow injury, UCL. I
Hmm.
mean, whenever we hear that when a pitcher has that in baseball, he means usually he's
Yeah.
out for a long time. So Beck's going
Hmm.
to be gone for definitely this game. I'd say the whole playoff. So it's going to come down
Sure.
to Gunnar Stockton, who is I don't know if he's good at all. We did see him for a little bit, and I think that's what makes this game intriguing. Trying to figure out how much of a downgrade it is from Carson
Yeah.
Beck to Gunnar Stockton. And I think one thing you could say is, well, Beck hasn't really been that great this year. And when Gunnar Stockton came in against Texas, it felt like the Bulldogs offense really opened up, especially running the ball. But at the same time, Stockton really had some not good looking, disastrous plays. There was one play in the third quarter. He
Yeah.
drops back to pass. He gets sacked. Ball goes backwards, goes flying, and it barely rolls out of bounds before a Texas player was able to get it. So they kind of caught a break there. They also fumbled a few times, Georgia, in that game, and were able to recover their fumbles. And then Stockton, they're up three late in the game, kind of in field goal range, and he throws a horrible interception that allows Texas to force overtime. So
Yeah.
it's really tough to decide. I think maybe like a 3-point downgrade seems like the consensus from Beck to Stockton, which I think is fair
Hmm.
for now. Definitely a chance it could be more, but maybe there's a chance
Yeah.
it's less. I think what's interesting here is some of the hypothetical lines for this Sugar Bowl, where it was if Notre Dame beats Indiana, they were a 1.5 point favorite over Georgia. So they were actually a short favorite. And as soon as that game went final Friday night in South Bend, it was Georgia that took the early money as an underdog, and they've gotten bet out to -2.5. So I wasn't really
Yeah.
expecting that, especially because Notre Dame's up 27-3, basically sitting on the ball, and then Indiana scores those two late touchdowns after getting that onside kick. So it's kind of at a point now where I don't know. It's like a really tough game for me to gauge because it's you have the downgrade or the quarterback change and trying to determine the
Yeah.
downgrade. And then it's like, did Notre Dame get downgraded for beating Indiana by only 10 when they were in control of that game? So it's really hard
Yeah.
for me to kind of wrap my head around the price of this game at what we are now with Georgia short favorite.
All right. With all that being said, Nate, it's a very, very tight point spread, like you mentioned, and a very low
Yeah.
total for a college football game. How are you thinking of betting the Sugar Bowl?
Yeah, so going into the Indiana Notre Dame game, I was like, I hope Notre Dame wins, or if Notre Dame wins, I hope they win big because then I can maybe get
Yeah.
Georgia at +3, just based on what the hypothetical line. Just take a good
Hmm.
number in a game with a low total. Maybe we get like Georgia's, their whole team kind of rallies around Gunnar Stockton. He played high school football in Georgia, so like it's like kind of like
Yeah.
a feel good story for that Kirby Smart can kind of like rally the troops
Yeah.
around. But then when the line actually came out and the game was set, and then more people could bet more money on it because limits went up. Georgia took the money, and now they're a favorite. So I was hoping to get Georgia +3. Obviously, that was a pipe dream. I kind of misread the market there, where I thought the number would go towards Notre Dame off that impressive win, at least to start, but it went the complete
Hmm.
opposite. So in terms of the side, don't really want anything. I think it's kind of correct. If Notre Dame got to +3, I'm sure there'd be interest from a lot of people in the Fighting Irish catching a field goal. But if I had to bet anything, it's hard for me to not just take the under at 44. I know it's super low. Maybe it'll get bet up a little bit before game time, and I could, maybe bet a little bit more on that. But I'm looking towards the
Yeah.
under. I know Georgia's offense hasn't been in sync for much of the season, and I think that's a problem for Gunnar Stockton because it hasn't been the most effective running game. The receivers have dropped a lot of balls. I don't know if it's because Carson Beck was bringing bad vibes and maybe not everyone was sold on him, and they'll play better
Hmm.
for Stockton. But Notre Dame is also a very very good opponent that has a good defense. And then on the other side, I could see Georgia's defense playing really well, knowing that they probably have to carry them to win not just this game, but if they
Yeah.
want to win another national title. So I'd expect Kirby Smart to have his defense ready, knowing that they're probably not going to
Hmm.
get much from their offense. So I feel like we're going to see a little bit of a rock fight in New Orleans on New Year's Day at night. So under 44 is the way I'm looking, but I'm not going to bet it now. I want to see if that number goes up a little bit from now until
Sure.
that game.